Hey, welcome back. You clicked on another 40 for 40, which means you're back to help me celebrate my midlife crisis and turning 40 with 40 of my favorite films of all time. And today we're going to talk about the history of a fast food giant. This is how Long John Silver's got started, I assume. Obviously the true story of that, right? This is Treasure Planet. Of course I was going to have a Disney title here, and with as many Disney titles that could have easily fit in, I wanted to choose something a little different, so I chose Treasure Planet. Probably if I was trying to choose like the Disney title that affected me most, I would have chosen Aladdin, because that's when I was growing up and it kind of hit like at the right time. But if I'm choosing something that I don't think anybody else is going to choose that I do actually love, it's Treasure Planet. I know I'm like the only one. There's no one else. I've been to the fan club meetings. No one else is there. This is on Disney Plus with audio description from Jedediah Barton and the team at Deluxe. So shout out to them for their commitment to the craft, as it were. And this was a blast. I've seen this a bunch of times. I love watching it. It moves so quickly. It doesn't feel the need to take a lot of time with anything. It just kind of throws you into it, and you're there. It's like beginning, middle, and done. I think the movie is less than 90 minutes. If it is, it's like right at 90 minutes. It's one of the shorter films, and you never feel like it overstays. There's never a scene where you're like, oh, it's lagging, because it can't possibly lag, because there's no way to lag when you're moving this quickly. So that's one of the few things in this film that does really well. The other stuff is it just sets up the characters really well. I love how it takes the story of Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson and sets that up, but puts it in space. So that way, because it kind of makes sense. I mean, we've had space pirates before. This isn't the first film to think of space pirates. So, they didn't create it. So they just kind of took that to another level. And Jim does this sort of like surfing thing, which may or may not be ridiculous, depending on what you think of space and gravity. I think it's a Disney film, so I'm not like holding it up to, it's meant for kids. I'm not holding it up to like some high standard of, like, let me call Neil deGrasse Tyson and make sure, is this possible, Neil? Neil, can he really do this? Are we close to the technology that would allow him to be able to hop off there and surf in the space without any sort of like helmet or anything on? Is he just breathing space air? So anyway, yeah, no, I mean, I get it. I get the people who look at this film and they're like, ugh, it doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, dude, do that with every single kid's movie, because your life must be just void of just silly fun. I don't know. Just whatever. Either that or else every time you take your kids to something, you just hate everything. You're just like, ugh. Science in this movie doesn't make any sense. Oh my god. But no, it's not lost on me that they're running around on the deck of a giant ship, and like no one's in like astronaut suits. But you know what? When they made films where like people needed to have astronaut suits and stuff, what do we have? Like Mars Needs Moms? I think that's a little bit closer to being scientifically legit. Doesn't somebody have to wear an actual helmet? I thought the movie was terrible, my point. So let's not go there. We don't need to talk about realism all the time in films that are meant for kids. Plus, like, Long John Silver in here is like a cyborg. Like, half of his body's been replaced by cybernetic stuff. He's got a cool eye that you know, sweeps around. He's also got this really cool creature, which is really underutilized by Disney because Treasure Planet failed. But let's face it, Morph is delightful. Morph is adorable. And Morph is like the long-lost Disney character that could have done something. If Treasure Planet was a hit, Morph would still be out there in the world, like a Stitch. Like, I believe Morph is the only reason Morph doesn't exist is because he's from a film that just goes, you know, splat, box office. The voice cast is nice. We've got a bunch of different people here. Obviously, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the lead as Jim. He plays our daring Jim Hawkins. And we've got David Hyde Pierce. We've got Emma Thompson. We got Laurie Metcalf. In case you didn't realize that was Laurie Metcalf, that's Laurie Metcalf playing Jim's mom. Surprisingly, the guy playing Long John Silver was lesser known, which made it hard for me to remember his name, so I didn't. But I was expecting, I was like, ooh, I was listening to it and I was like, I wonder who this is. Like, it sounds a little bit like, no, it can't be him. And it was bothering me so much. And finally I looked it up and I was like, I don't know who the hell that is. I have no idea. It's amazing that for like one of the lead characters, they just got somebody who does normal voiceover work and not, you know, Anthony Hopkins or something. But he does a good job. I like it. He's endearing when he needs to be, and he's menacing when he needs to be. And it's a great balance. This is one of the more conflicting characters that Disney doesn't really explore. The like a crossover villain. Even Iago needed a second movie before he became like a hero again. But with Long John Silver, it's like, is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? And depending on whether or not you've read Treasure Island or how many times you've embraced this story in other formats, you're going to have your own opinion about that. But if all you've got is Treasure Planet, which if you're a little kid, it might be your first introduction to the source material. So I think you kind of walk away by the end of the film going, he wasn't that bad. He made the right choice in the end. I mean, he saved Jim and let the treasure go. So, yeah. He obviously cared for the kid. So, and that's where the Disney ending comes in and into play. And one of the things that they work really well is that ending to it, because so many other movies that they've made, the villains just end up villaining all the way through to the end until they die, basically. I mean, they all die in the end, or whether they're Ursula or they're Scar or Gaston or, you know, Scar and whatever his name was in Tarzan. Does anybody care? I don't know. They all just, none of those people ever saw the light. They all just, you know, relentlessly pursued their treasures until they died. But here, he makes a different choice. And it makes there's a whole montage that's set to the one song that I keep waiting. I also watch American Idol, and I love when they do Disney Night. And I'm like, man, if I was ever up there, this would be the song that I would do, because nobody would see it coming. And not even Disney. I think Disney would be like, wait, is that a song of ours? And I'd be like, yeah, it's your song from Treasure Planet, I'm Not Here, by the Goo Goo Dolls. There's a whole montage set to Treasure Planet. I remember the music video. I remember back in the day being able to watch like Disney Channel and seeing the music video that played for this, that showed little scenes from the movie, along with like shots of the band rocking out. So yeah, it's the lyrics kind of help the scene. They do feel like they were written for the film. They feel like they're written for Jim. It also kind of feels like a generic Goo Goo Dolls rock song in the process. Sort of like how I Don't Want to Miss a Thing feels like it's an Aerosmith song that could have happened with or without the movie, but it feels so right when it's needed in the movie. I'm Not Here is a really cool addition. They were really trying to get boys. You know, they had spent so many years getting girls with all the princess movies, that statistically, their math was telling them after Shrek that boys were what they needed. And that was one of the biggest problems they had, was that they couldn't get boys into animated movies. Shrek was sort of an anomaly, and they couldn't understand why boys weren't coming to see things like Atlantis and Treasure Planet. And Disney just banked on the wrong gender. And then lo and behold, also in that same time period, what do we get? Lilo and Stitch. Huge hit for them. I mean, Stitch is everywhere now, still, to this day. And they're doing a live-action remake. I think a live-action remake of Treasure Planet would be dope. You gotta hand it to the right person, but by all means, that would be crazy. If you gave it to the right... Obviously, the budget would be... They'd be so afraid of it because they'd have to have a decent budget. And that was the problem with the first Treasure Planet, is it didn't make back its budget. So I don't think I don't think we will ever see anything else from this franchise, which is sad because I think it would have made an excellent ride at one of the theme parks. Sometimes the movie doesn't need to be super successful in order for you to have a ride. Universal Studios Japan has, I think it still has the Waterworld ride, to be honest. It did have a Waterworld ride for a long time, like a Waterworld like show extravaganza thing. And Waterworld was not known for being a hit, but it had an experience out of Universal Studios Japan. So that's an example of if it makes sense to be an attraction, then yeah, do it. And Treasure Planet would have made for just an exemplary ride somewhere. So yes, I love Treasure Planet. I'll fight you for it. I'm here putting it in my 40 for 40. I didn't want my 40 for 40 to be full of Disney movies, and I was like, well, I don't want to do Frozen or Moana yet. I love both of those films. I do. And I was thinking, where's my sweet spot? And what won't people see coming? I took the Pixar movies out because I wanted to do a Pixar movie separately. So I just wanted Disney, straight up Disney. And Treasure Planet is representative of that, because I didn't want my 40 to 40 to just be, look at all the Disney movies I like, guys. Look at this. It's amazing. Because Disney Plus has really excellent audio description. And I may find myself right now, because I haven't plotted out my 40 for 40, swinging back in, and you may find Aladdin in it, number 39 or 40, just because I needed to finish off my 40 for 40 with titles I do actually love that have audio description. I have to be willing to stand up for them no matter what, and this is adorable. I love even stupid things like the little flirtatious relationship between David Hyde Pierce's character and Emma Thompson's character. It's in the background, and it's not really ever brought truly to the forefront because neither one of them are lead characters, but it's just, when you pay attention to it, it's very endearing at certain times that this guy kind of steps up, and I love when he's carrying her, you know, because she's injured or whatever, and is keeping her, even though she's the badass and he's not the badass. You know, he's still, the chivalry is still strong with that one. And of course it's David Hyde Pierce, so it's Niles, so that's all you think of when you hear his voice. Is I'm like, Niles is on the show? That's great. The only couple of things that I would say about the audio description is that the film is a little bit goofier than you would think by watching the audio description. Jedediah comes in and he does his Jedediah narration on it, and it's great. Like, I really don't think Jedediah allows himself to narrate bad scripts. But he needed to kind of notice that there's a whimsical nature to some of the characters, and it doesn't quite come through in the narration. I would say that for Morph and also for Ben, the robot character voiced by Martin Short, there's nothing really in the narration that would let you know just how kind of goofy / adorable they are. I would say for Morph, he's kind of goofy and adorable at the same time. He's trying to be the breakout character for the film. The character that would have ended up on, if Treasure Planet had made $500 million at the box office, Morph would be the one that kids would want the stuffed animal for on the shirts. He'd be the one that's used somewhere in the theme park where he would like climb over something and morph into it. You know, he's this little cute ball of goo that has all those emotions. I mean, the scene where he's having to choose between Long John and Jim, and Silver yells at him, and he just kind of like whines a little bit and retreats behind Jim. It's adorable because he doesn't talk. I mean, he just reacts by little like just like little noises and his cute expressions. Like, I remember him, you know, I remember what he looked like, and even though I can't see him now, but and Ben, Martin Short's character is just it feels like the kind of thing Robin Williams would have done if he had had a better experience shooting Aladdin. But luckily Martin Short came in with the like crazy vocal experience. But Ben is kind of like constantly falling apart, and his nuts and bolts and everything are just sort of and his movement is very exaggerated. Because of it, he's kind of all over the place. And I didn't really get that from the narration. It didn't feel like that this narration was geared towards kids, which I thought was interesting because it's a Disney film narration. I know Treasure Planet is PG, which is one of like the shocking things about it, is that it's PG. I don't really know why it's PG. I guess like a couple of people die. It's kind of adventurous. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, it didn't quite capture the magic of some of the characters and the childlike whimsy, if I may, of the characters that are meant to have the childlike whimsy. It captured the drama of the situations. It captured the sort of like the normal adult characters really well. It captured the terrifying characters really well. I don't remember his name, the spider character, that is the clearly bad guy that we got a stereotypical villain, you know, to do the voice over for that role. And you can tell, you know, that dude's he's gonna be a problem. Yeah, he's well described, but the two characters that are just kind of straight described that are kind of goofy, you know, I kind of missed that. I wish that there was a way to be able to describe their goofy, whimsical qualities so the kids can be fully entertained by that. I don't know that it is. I mean, I'd really have to ask a kid, like, did you pick up on that? Are these characters endearing to you? how do you feel about Morph? How do you feel about Ben? And if the answer is that they didn't notice a difference, then we didn't do a good job. So, otherwise this film is pretty much where it's supposed to be. I don't know. I guess you could maybe put more of a focus on Jim surfing, but they went to a lot of trouble. I remember this film has a lot of mixed, it's hand-drawn animation mixed with computer-generated animation so that they could create that that effect. Sort of like how they did it with Tarzan, in Tarzan for his going through trees. There's a little bit of computer animation mixed in there, just to make it a little bit easier. So some stuff looks a little bit cooler than you would think it does just by listening to the audio description. So most of the time it's fine. I mean, the planet stuff, Treasure Planet stuff towards the end was fine. I didn't feel like I was let down by anything like that. So I would, overall, it's a pretty decent narration. I just feel like when we're shooting for a film that's aimed at kids, there should be some sort of like, just make sure to use your imagination when you're doing the description, because the kids are the ones that are really the target demo. I'm not the target demo. I mean, I'm a grown-ass 40-year-old man now. Like, I shouldn't, this does not need to cater to me. It needs to cater to the 8-year-old who hasn't seen this film yet and is just checking it out for the first time on Disney Plus with his family. You know, this film is about 20 years old. I think a little over, about 20. Maybe it's celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. I can't remember, but it was either 2002 or 2003. So, yeah, it's getting to be that age where little kids are going to come up from people who were little kids when Treasure Planet was released. If anybody liked the movie when it came out, they're going to want to share it with their kids. So the audio description that exists is going to be the audio description that's out there for those little kids as they're growing up. And I just think it doesn't have that little pop to it that tells me this is meant for kids, and we thought about that. It just feels like it's meant for adults. Which Treasure Planet, if it was meant for adults, I got nothing on that one. I got nothing. I think we all know it's just not meant for adults. So, anyway, that's it. That's my official ruling on Treasure Planet. And just like all my other 40 for 40s, where you may think this film is going to get some sort of a normal grade, it's a favorite film of all time for me, so it gets the plus. I'm going to give Treasure Planet an A+. I love Treasure Planet, and it gets me in the feels, even though I realize it probably shouldn't, because it's like considered to be one of the low-tier Disney movies because it bombed at the box office. I don't know what to tell you. This is the one of the bombs where I'm just like, I would like to save this one from the pile of trash, please. I don't think this should be down there. I mean, there are plenty of Disney films that I agree with where I'm like, I didn't love that. I didn't love Atlantis. I'm not going to fight for that one. I'm not going to fight for Meet the Robinsons. I'm not going to fight, oh, I hated Mars Needs Moms. That was just dreadful. Chicken Little wasn't great. There were a bunch of films in the 2000s where I was just like, no. But Treasure Planet is not one of them. So I made a film standing up for it because I'm 40. And that's about to be 40. And it's just the right time in my life to be fighting for Treasure Planet. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you liked it. If you're a Treasure Planet fan, give me a shout out. Let me know that I'm not the only one, because I've been going to the fan club meetings and I can't even get Joseph Gordon-Levitt to Nobody likes this movie. It has a 7.2 on IMDb, by the way. I looked at that. 7.2 for a film that constantly gets derided. Do you realize how hard it is to maintain above a 7 for a film to be this unpopular? Yeah. So it's clearly one of those things where we all secretly like it, but nobody wants to talk about it. Because a 7.2 is actually really hard to maintain on IMDb for that long. If we all really didn't like it. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review. Check out my website, macthemovieguy.com. Follow me on Twitter or Instagram at macthemovieguy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what is audio description, where you can watch it. And you can go to TheADNA.org. That's TheADNA.org. And it'll let you know what else Jedediah Barton is up to, because that dude is a prolific narrator and one of my favorites. So that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will review something else for you guys and see you on the other side.